Guys, this is so exciting. It's Spoon Bowl week. This is big. Can we actually win a game this week? This is going to be wild. Massive episode coming up. We're actually going in with positivity this time. We've got a chance, guys. They're telling me there's a chance, and I think we've got to take it. This is a massive game. So welcome back to the preview podcast. It doesn't get bigger than this. North Melbourne, Hawthorn, prime time, Sunday Arvo, Spoon Bowl. This is footy. This is footy. This week, we've got Brad from Hawks Insider who's going to be joining me very, very shortly. We chatted a few days ago about this upcoming game. Very interesting to see how the Hawthorn fans are feeling about this episode. I'm talking in podcast world, this game. Let's just say we're all as terrified and there's an even amount of lack of confidence across the board. We're both rubbish, and whoever is less rubbish will win the game. That's basically how it will go. I'm backing North this week. I said North by 16 points, but I am not confident, let's just say. But we can definitely do it. So, live team reaction will come up straight after the interview with Brad, and then we're going to talk about the game, some news through the week, get to some tips, and I'm going to leave you guys to it. So let's flip to the interview with Brad now. Enjoy this interview. He's a great guy, one of my favorites I've had on. Brad from Hawks Insider. If you want any insight on the Hawks, have mates who follow the Hawks, or just like entertaining stuff, check his stuff out. He's active on X and runs a podcast on all the podcasting platforms. So anyway, without further ado, welcome to Brad. Let's jump to that now, and I'll see you guys in a second. So this week, we're joined by Brad, who does Hawks Insider. It's very exciting. The Spoon Bowl potentially coming up this weekend. Welcome, Brad. Tell us all a bit about yourself, mate.
Hello, Josh. Hello, North Melbourne fans. Great to be with you. Grand final week for both of us.
Absolutely.
Grand final early in the season. I spoke to Mines recently. I said Hawthorn and North will be 0-5. Early final for us. North and Hawthorn have a history in the 70s and early 80s probably as well. The rivalry is going to be back. Sunday, prime time, 4 p.m. at
4:40, yeah.
All 21,500 of us will probably be there. Looking forward to it.
Good luck getting a ticket.
Hawks Insiders, myself and a few of my friends, similar to you guys. Wednesday nights, we're live on X. We do podcasts for the North Melbourne fans that love their footy and love another struggling team. Jump on board anytime, subscribe at Hawks Insiders. But it's great to be here, Josh, and looking forward to chatting about our grand final this weekend.
Well, let's start off with that then. How are you feeling? Out of 10, how nervous is the Hawks fan base about this game? Because I can tell you from my side, I've been nervous about this game for the first 5 weeks of the season.
100%. This was the one game I penciled in. I said it before the season started, and I copped it. A draw on paper looked really tough. Your draw on paper even harder. You guys got absolutely smashed by the AFL.
We did early on.
West, Geelong, shocking run, Brisbane, Carlton. And all 5 weeks.
Freo look really good this year too. That was the one I thought we could possibly win, but they've looked really good.
We had the Bombers round 1. I thought that was a 50-50, but then after that, Melbourne round 2 was always a loss. Geelong round 3 was always a loss. Collingwood, we've got a good record. We had won 14 out of our previous 17. Good on the MCG. Gather round was always going to be tough. We did fight it till the end. And last night was the one I penciled in at 0-5. Was going to be the one that was going to get us to 0-5. Gold Coast away is Hawthorn's horrendous. So
it's weirdly ours too, to be honest. We lose to them all the time.
Every time we knew this was going to happen, I said 0-5 before our season started. Am I nervous? Absolutely. Last year we did beat North Melbourne twice. North have beaten us, I think, 1 or 2 times in the last 5 or so years. I was lucky enough about 4 or 5 years ago. I sat in the coach's box with Brad Scott. I do come from a media background, so I was very lucky to be invited to sit in the North Melbourne coach's box. I was in the rooms pre-game. I saw the whole pre-game address from Brad Scott. Benny Jacobs did a tagging job on Tommy Mitchell. That job. Benny Jacobs, an underrated player. Concussion, unfortunate end to his career. He would have been a really, really solid play for North Melbourne for a long time. Played his role really well. But I was at that game in the coach's box. and it was an interesting experience. So, yeah, North at Marvel, if it was at the MCG, I'd be a lot more confident. But Marvel Stadium, the Hawks unfortunately don't play too well. North Melbourne's midfield is on paper is really strong. I'm actually been a little bit disappointed with North. I know you've had a tough run, but the way you've been losing has been really disappointing because on paper, your team is not as bad as you have been playing. I think you do have a lot of quality players, especially with your younger players. You've got Larky up forward. The back line is an issue.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, I do agree with that. I think, we're recording this straight after North just lost to Geelong by 75. And it's really interesting because I think that's potentially the most controlled and debatably the best we may have played as a unit today. Obviously, the backline. The backline is an issue. I don't think the individuals are an issue, especially getting Charlie Comben in there now. Aiden Corr probably played his only good game of the year today. It was okay. Biggie Newen looked all right, but it's how quickly the ball gets into the forward line for the opposition. And that stems, like you said, from the midfield where we're meant to be really good on paper, but I'm telling you, our midfield has been really, really poor. And if we don't win that ball, we are really bad at trying to stop anything from leaking out of that midfield. So look, I guess the one thing for the Hawks game coming up that gives me a little bit of confidence is obviously a younger midfield on your end. We're not just going to get smashed by Cripps and, the Cats midfield. I know they're a little bit underdone, but geez, they've got some players in there still. The Giants midfield obviously is going to tear us apart. We lack physicality, and I think that's the one area where I feel a bit more confident. But also the forward line for the Hawks, it's about time we haven't come up against 3 weeks in a row of Danaher, Cameron, Kerno, Mackay, all this sort of stuff. So I don't know. I'm not confident at all. Don't get me wrong. I think this is it's probably easier for us to lose this than win it. But I do really want to beat the Hawks. I think the worst game for me last year was that loss we took at Marvel. That was the most embarrassing one for me of the entire season, when a team that's right next to us on the ladder. And I think our players, I've said this on the pod a few times, and let me know what you think about this. I think our players have a lot more talent, and I think our top 10 players are better than the Hawks, but I think the Hawks are a much better unit and have a better squad and play together more than us, mainly because we've been at the bottom longer and have higher draft picks, and that's maybe the only reason I'm going off that. But what do you think the game will dish up? And do you sort of agree that like maybe we've got the talent, but I think you guys play together more and just have the bottom 15 players you've got that usually play are much better than ours?
It's a fair comment. Unfortunately for Hawthorn as well, we've been decimated. Will Day, who's our best player, is not going to play. He's not back probably till the earliest round 7. Luke Bruce, I don't think is going to play. He's got a calf injury. He'll be 50-50. Mitch Lewis is the other one. Mitch Lewis plays. I would be very confident Hawthorn were going to win. He has started quite slowly, but he did his hammy a couple of weeks ago, but he's carrying a knee as well. I'd be very surprised if he plays. They won't play him unless he's 100% fit.
With his track record too, I guess he's always had a bit of knee trouble, hasn't he?
I don't think he's going to play. Then there's guys like Giath, Wingard, James Blank, who was our fullback.
What about Wingard? Does he still play for the Hawks?
Wingard still plays. He's got an Achilles injury. He did his Achilles against the Bulldogs in round 23 last year.
Wow.
He has made a great recovery. He's an important player for us. So he'll be back probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So we have got a lot of injuries, and it's showing. Watson, who was our first top 5 draft pick in a very, very long time, is still out for another probably 3 to 4 weeks. He's got a foot injury. He got syndesmosis against Geelong. So like you said, North Melbourne's top talent, Sheasel, Wardlaw, Powell, McKercher copped a knock today. I'd be surprised if he plays next week. He's got a rib injury.
Ribs apparently, yeah.
Got to have a broken rib. He looks like an absolute gun of a player. I love McKercher. Reminds me of a young Hodgie playing off the half back. Luke Hodge, beautiful left foot, really tough. Your top-end draft picks are a lot stronger than ours. We've got Josh Ward, Cam McKenzie, who were both picked 7. They have been McKenzie's been better than Ward this year. McKenzie got subbed after 3 disposals last night against Gold Coast. Josh Ward has regressed really poorly this season. He was one who we thought would go to another level. He's been playing on a wing rather than inside mid, which is an issue. Connor McDonald was another one. He was picked 26 in the draft 3 years ago. He's a quality player who's really struggled this season. And then our midfield, which last year was clearance-wise in the top, I think 5 or 6 in the AFL, has been the worst midfield in the competition this season. Connor Nash will probably be dropped. I'd be surprised if he's not at Box Hill this week. John Newcomb's been really poor this year. He's averaged 19 possessions. Last year, averaged 5 a game. The loss of Will Day, who I said before is our best player by a long way, has hurt our midfield and it has hurt our team. Our leaders have been really poor. James Sicily, teams have started to put a lot of work into Sicily. He's one player who I think a Zerha type will play on, or someone like that will get into
If he
him.
plays, I don't know how bad his calf is.
I know Zerha missed this week. So
been very underwhelming too, Zerha. I wouldn't be too worried about getting Zerha.
He's one player he's a player that, bobs up and will kick a couple of goals.
He could win a game off his boot on his day. He's like very Jake Stringer-esque.
Larkey's the obvious one. Larkey will get Sam Frost, who opposition supporters pay Frost out quite a lot. He's been really good for us this year. Behind James Warple, he's probably coming second in our best and fairest. Had not a great game last night on Ben King at times, but our defence last night kept that under 100-point loss. Our backline, surprisingly, which many thought would be our worst line this year, has been our best. Our midfield and our forward line has been dysfunctional and a bit of a disaster. It was a new forward line. We got rid of a few last year. Kazitsky, Brockman went up to West Coast. We replaced them with the Marbio Chol. We drafted Watson. Ginnivan has actually been a really good player. He's going to be one who's going to annoy you and your North fans next Sunday.
Absolutely.
He's been really, really good. He's worked really hard. He's kicking a goal or two a game. But when it comes down to it, it's going to come down to the midfield battle. It's which of the two sides in the midfield. Our midfield's a bit more experienced. Newcomb is only, I think, 22. He's played only just under 55 games, but he's our best midfielder. Connor Nash is not that young anymore, 25 or 26. James Warple's 26. Our younger ones that come through are the ones who have to go to the next level. For you guys, I guess it's similar. LDU, brilliant player. I don't think he's been at his best this season.
No.
Wardlaw's showing good signs, but can get better. Tommy Powell, I think, has been probably the one.
He's been our best midfielder for sure, Tommy Powell.
Best. He's averaging with 25 touches a game. Will Phillips has been a disappointment. I don't think he'll be on your list next year. Who else runs through your midfield at the moment? Jystonkin's playing as a half forward.
Yeah, he played a bit more midfield today, but once again, a bit underwhelming. I mean, Zerha's had patches through the midfield, Chala Lazaro, and that's really the core that we're running with. McKerches went through there a tiny bit, but it's really a rotation of like 4 players, and they're all children, to be honest with you.
That's the problem. We're having the same. It's the depth in the midfield, and you come up against these bigger body midfielders, even though they might not be the names on paper. Most teams have 7 or 8 that run through the midfield. Your Norths and Hawthorns and the Eagles have no more than 4 or 5, and that's a big issue. The harsh reality is Hawthorn and North Melbourne are both finishing 16th and 17th this year, and I know it's early. I know it's early to look at it, but nothing will change my mind at the end of the season.
No. We were always going to be a bottom 4 confirmed, and we're not getting, both of us, I don't think we'll get out of the bottom 4. I mean, there was a lot of hype for the Hawks, and I work at a barber shop, and a lot of the Hawks fans were telling me like 10th to 12th, and I was like, calm down a little bit. Like I know there's been a lot of success at the Hawks, and I know you've got some young players that look promising, but it is a process. And I think us as a fan base has found that out, and maybe a fan base that has had a lot of success, you sort of expect to get back there kind of quickly, but I think it is a longer process.
100%, and that's been a big problem with our fans, unfortunately, to the lack of our patience. And we've been very lucky. We've won 4 flags since 2008 up until now. So
wild.
Four flags in 16 years, so that's one every 4 years. We've now this is going to be probably our 4th really poor season in a row. It's Sam Mitchell's 3rd season as coach. We're going to finish bottom 4. I like Sam Mitchell. I think he's going to be a good coach. I think this year he's been incredibly poor. He's made some really bad decisions. Last night, a perfect example. John Newcomb, who's had a terrible season, played his best game against Collingwood. Not even his best game. He played his best half. His second half nearly carried us over the line. Last night against one of the best midfields in the competition with Rowell and Anderson and Tuke Miller and Flanders and those types, even though Flanders was moved to half back, John Newcombe started on the bench. So the tone was set in the first 5 minutes of the game, and he came on, we were 3 goals down, the game was done.
Yeah.
Those are the decisions that Sam's making this year, which are really, really poor. So both Clarkson and Mitchell do not like each other. They despise each other.
The Clarko Cup.
The builder is going to be frosty. I'm pretty sure
it?
last year, the game in Tassie, they didn't shake hands before or after the game. There's a bit of, anger and resentment, more Clarko's way than Sam's way. But both of them are competitive beasts. And this would be one game at the start of the season that both coaches circle. And they lose every game of the year. This is the one game both coaches want to win.
It's do or die stuff for both teams. And I think, it's going to be a pretty competitive game. I don't know. I think whichever midfield really gets on top early is going to have that ascendancy because, if we do win it out of the middle, even today, we're still putting up, not last week, but we're still putting up okay scores. I mean, it was maybe just under 70. It's like late 60, 68 points or something today we put up, which isn't amazing, but the first 3 rounds were 80 plus and we were sort of getting there pretty easily. You're right, it's the defensive side. I think the defensive side, I know the scoreline doesn't show it today, but our ability to intercept mark and stop the bleeding is better now than it was in the first 3 weeks. And I'm really going to bank on maybe the forward not being as strong as ones that we've come up against, that maybe we can slow that down a little bit. I think Marnie was talking to me before and we both sort of agree. This is the first game of the season where we can really, as a fan base, understand where we're at. And I think this is going to be the biggest game of the season. I think if we lose this one, I think we're on for maybe 2 wins, 2 or 3 max. I think it's going to be the same, if not worse than last year. I know it sounds very negative and I'm known as a bit more negative on the podcast compared to Marnie.
Brother, I'm exactly the same. I'll pop it as well, but it's reality.
It's where we're at though. It's realistic. And some people need to understand that a little bit more. If you set your expectation too high, you might be disappointed. And some people that works and that's completely fine. But I do think if we win, we have the talent to maybe get that bit of confidence and push on because like you said, we've had a pretty rough run. The first time we came up against a team that's lost a game was last week. And then we just played the 4-0 Cats. Now they're 5-0. So we've probably played 5 of the top, definitely the top 8, you would think. So the run now is like Hawthorn, Adelaide, St Kilda, maybe like the Bombers or something next after that. And I think that month of footy is going to really tell us as a fan base where our team is at. And the thing that was different today, and I'll ask you how the Hawks sort of play a little bit in a second, we controlled the ball a lot more today. It wasn't just blazing away. We kicked short, we kept possession, and we transitioned the ball better than we've done all season, I think, today. The problem was the turnovers still came even though we had the ball for longer and we controlled it more, and it was the same result going back even though the control was there. So I think if we can find a bit more control like we did today and play that fast-moving style when it's on, I think we can get the ball into the forward line and do some damage. A player like Blake Drury came in today, who's a small forward and kicked a couple of goals.
He played well. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, and I didn't really think he had that in him, to be honest. I've never seen much from him, but getting more marks is around the ground and in the 50 has been something the last couple of weeks we've improved with. How do you think the Hawks want to play against North? How do you think they're going to come out and try and play their game?
I think they're going to have to play fast. To be honest, 5 rounds in, which is a worry, I don't know what our game style is. Last year, we were the handball Hawks, move it forward, get it forward really quickly. This year, Sam's tried a few different things. We saw the first quarter against the Demons was a complete and utter disaster, and they played the way that North played today. Didn't work. Last night, we couldn't get our hands on the ball. Our midfield was the worst midfield performance by a team I've ever seen, ever. Our highest possession getter in the midfield was Warple, who I think had 15. John Newcombe had 11. Connor Nash had 10. Henry Huswaite had 11. He came on as the sub in the second half. It was a disaster. If we don't get our hands on the ball, we're not going to win. The best way to beat North Melbourne is I think we can afford to take risks, which means play faster. We've got to just get on the go. Our forward line, if Lewis doesn't play, Marbio Chol's our key forward. Jack Gunston might come back in. Kicked a goal for Box Hill, who also got thumped. We don't have a lot of depth at the moment, which is a problem because we've got so many guys out of injury. There will be changes. Sam Mitchell was fuming after his press conference last night. It's the first time in a long time I've noticed Sam is dejected.
Well, how
He
did you
was
feel after that Gold Coast game? Because I was yesterday at work with Big Ant, who is a big West Coast fan. And I instantly flagged, this is a danger week for North Melbourne because we were never going to beat the Cats. So you've got Hawthorn coming off a decent performance, well, I guess a decent fight back against Collingwood the week before. And then you've got West Coast playing Richmond over there, who now are missing Taranto amongst many others. Obviously, as a North fan, I was relieved that Hawthorn didn't win and it was a bigger loss, because that would have made me so much more nervous going into next week if you put in another performance like the Pies. Obviously, we don't know what West Coast is going to do today. I think the game's just started, but I don't know. I'm pretty terrified for this game. But how did you feel watching that Gold Coast game, and how did you feel after it? I'm assuming it wasn't the performance you thought you'd put in.
No, I thought Gold Coast would win by 50 points. They only ended up winning.
Really? Interesting.
100%.
I thought you'd be more confident than that.
Oh, Gold Coast last year beat us by, I think, 67 points. We beat them in Tassie the year before in a shocking game, but away from home, they smash us. We match up against them. I honestly thought after 2 6-day games, we played we were in Adelaide last week against Collingwood, and it was a brutal game. We ran it, we pushed them in the second half. We were always going to come out flat. We don't play that ground, the Gold Coast ground, well at all. I thought we'd lose by 50 points. It was only just over 50 points, but it felt like a 80-plus point loss. As I said, our backline kept us in the game. It was our worst performance of the year last night. It was soulless. It was listless. It was really, really poor. The way they played wasn't expected. The result was, I expected that result last night, but it's how you lose and how we lost
100%.
last night. Those are the losses that really hurt you. We could have lost that game, in the end by 6 goals. If we kicked a few junk time goals, still would have felt exactly the same. Those are the losses that, just as our supporters, and what hurts is when you watch the Gold Coast younger players like Closey, who in his second game kicked 2 goals, 18 possessions. Will Graham in his second game, he was picked, I think, 26 in last year's draft, laid 14 tackles. Their top 3 tackle getters, he had 14, Ral had 8, Tuke Miller had 8. Hawthorn as a team had, I think, 44. So that just showed we got absolutely smashed on the scoreboard, smashed around the ground, and we lost tackles. That's an effort problem. So
when you don't have the majority of the ball too, losing the tackles is great. I think we were this. Oh, actually, we won the tackles against Brisbane. I think the week before we lost the tackles as well, and we didn't have any possession, basically.
It happened every week where we're losing in the tackles. And that, to me, is a problem. When you're getting smashed everywhere and you're still getting smashed in tackles, big alarm bell. So, yeah, last night was really disappointing. As I said, I thought we would be 0-5. We've had some good moments, some poor moments. Essendon, we should have won. We had more scoring shots. They kicked 17 goals, 5. Since that game, the Melbourne game was incredibly disappointing. Geelong game, we played a good second quarter. The Collingwood game, we played a good second half. But again, we were terrible in the first half. We were 38 points down at halftime. We're 0-5 in first quarters. So the first quarter will know if both teams are on. I think both teams are going to come out really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you going to the game on the weekend?
I'm planning to. I've got 3 young kids, so 4 p.m. on a Sunday is quite difficult.
Oh, yeah, tough time slot, yeah.
Hawthorn do have a bit of a graveyard slot. We've now got, this was our last, I think.
Welcome to our world, mate. This has been us for like 8 years.
We've got 4 p.m. Sunday against you guys. Then we've got Swans 4 p.m. at the MCG. Then I think the Bulldogs at 4 p.m. at Marble. So 3 4 p.m. Sundays in a row. We deserve it for how we played in the last couple of years, 100%. We don't deserve primetime slots. Similar to you guys. You guys, I guess, get your Good Friday game. We get our Easter Monday game. That's about it. So hopefully a lot of North and Hawthorn supporters can make it to Marvel, because it's probably going to be a chance for either team to get a rare win.
A chance to see a win. And even last week's podcast, we barely talked about the Brisbane game. We were just sort of talking about where the team's at and where the club's at the first 4 games we've played. And we are trying to rally a lot of people for this. This is a game I penciled in, like you said, like you did too, like so early in the season. You know, did I predict we'd be 0-5? I probably expected it. I thought maybe Fremantle from their form last year in round 2, little did we know they'd go on and do what they're doing. We had a chance to be 60 points up in that game, and we blew the 3 shots in a row. They kicked 2 late goals. It's like the Geelong game today. We conceded a goal in the last minute of every quarter, and we do that nearly every game. Yeah, we do it every game. So, look, let's get a score prediction and a result from you, mate. What do you think's going to happen on the day?
Can I pick a draw? A 25-all draw?
Imagine. Imagine that'd be so gross.
Look, I'm not confident at all. Like, I reckon this game, a lot of our supporters are going to go into this game thinking that we're going to win by 4 or more goals. That's not going to happen. I think whoever wins is going to win this goal by maximum. It'll be under 15 points.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Hawthorn by 8 points. I think it's going to be a really close game. I just think our experienced guys like Sicily and those guys, Jack Gunston's probably going to come in. John Newcomb in the midfield, I think, is going to lift. He's going to get a rocket this week. I just think our senior players who have been really poor will help us get over the line, because I think in the last quarter it's going to be tight, and it's going to come down to which teams make less mistakes in the last 5 minutes of the game, and I think that'll get Hawthorn over the line just. But to be honest, I like North. I'm a big fan of North's future. I don't know if Clarko's the right man. I'm not just saying that, because I saw he was amazing at Hawthorn in his, first 10 or so years, but he is the reason why Hawthorn are where they are at the moment and why we're going to be where we are for the next 3 to 5 years. I think North Melbourne need a Craig McRae type of coach, a younger coach. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think North's building a brilliant list. I know you've got the handouts as people talk about, but when you look at who you recruited and traded some picks for, your Logues and those type of guys, you lost Colin Francis. You ended up getting Harry with pick 3. You got George Wardlaw with pick 4, McKercher, Powell. These guys are going to build and hopefully be the nucleus of, your next, I guess, finals team. Your biggest issue at the moment is your senior players.
Yeah, nowhere near good enough.
The leaders. You don't have any leaders, and that's similar to us at the moment. You can have all the top 10 picks in the world, but if you don't have your players, I guess, 25 to 30 who can help build those younger players up, that's the biggest problem. And both our teams at the moment have that as a massive problem.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It's interesting what you say about Clarkson, because I guess it's yet to be seen. Do I think Clarkson's going to coach us to our next premiership? I don't fully think so. I think, Paul Roos didn't coach the D's to a premiership when he went back there. I think what Clarkson's going to do is stabilize us, set us up for success going forward. And then you're right, some young, enthusiastic, innovative head coach can hopefully come in 5 years' time or something and set us on our way. We saw the turnaround at Hawthorn within 4 years with Clarkson. That's great, but he was that young, innovative coach at the time. But look, I'm not even really thinking about a premiership, mate, in the next 10 years, to be honest. I think realistically, I want Clarko to come in for the next 4 years, stabilize us, build a solid core that we can have sustained success with. And if he signs on again and is the guy to take us to a premiership, then obviously unreal. But I think more importantly right now, it's getting our club stable, which I think he has done. Like, everything off the field is very, very good at North Melbourne at the moment. Like, we're not losing a lot of these young players that we're keeping. That's everyone's main gripe with North Melbourne that I hear. And, I have so much footy chat a day at the barbershop. I talked to about 100 people a week, and it's like, they all say you got to keep the players. And I'm like, well, we've kept most of them. We lost Mackay. I understand that. And Horn Francis, I don't think that's a factor of our club. I think that's him and his mentality personally. But we've signed Power. We've signed Sheedy to a long deal. We've signed Larkey and Simpkin, and Wardlaw has signed. There's these guys who are staying there. And I don't think it's as big of an issue. We maybe don't have the stars to lose as well. I think Zerha will go. I've said this even since last season, and got a lot of criticism, but I think people are coming around to that. LDU is probably the only one. And look, to be honest, not that I want to give you the money, he can be a star. So throw everything at him. I say, let Zerha go if he wants to go. LDU's been not good enough for me this year. I think very similar to what I think Horn Francis was last year, not to draw comparisons from a biased North fan, obviously, but I think Horn Francis is very good on the offensive side of the ball, but I think he lacks a lot, running, tackling, defending, and that sort of stuff in the midfield. Apparently he's had a couple of good games this year. I actively avoid watching Port Adelaide play, but LDU is a very one-sided player at the moment, and the stats don't suggest so, but if you watch the games, the times that he could lay a harder tackle or chase a bit more, he doesn't really do. So, look, I think we've got the personnel to be able to do it, but it will take absolutely everything we've got as a club to be able to beat the Hawks at the moment. I'm going to tip North by 13. That's what my gut's telling me. I have to back us this week. If it's not this week, mate, it's probably going to be no weeks. I'm not confident at all. We could get embarrassed. I don't think there's any chance we beat you guys comprehensively. I think it will be tight, but there is also a chance you could. I also thought that last year and you blew us out of the water. So, I'll tip North by 13, but a very nervy 13 points. I don't remember the last time I went to the footy and was like, oh, we've got this in the bag. Halftime of the Freo game, I leant over to my mates there and I was like, it's not enough. It's just not enough points. And so look, I'm terrified, mates, but good luck for the weekend. And I'm going to need a few drinks after this game, regardless of the result, I think.
Best of luck as well. Looking forward to it. As we said before, let's all get as many North and Hawthorn supporters to Marvel at 4 p.m. prime time. The grand final to final in April for us. And may the best team win. Bragging rights. I don't know. Do we play you again this year? I don't know.
In Tassie, I think. Yeah.
It's your home game in Tassie closer to the end of the year. So
I think it's the last round of the season. So it's kind of, even if one of us gets the win there, I mean, everyone's going to view it as a dead rubber anyway. Like us with the Gold Coast last year. Like, do we go, we beat the Gold Coast,
Correct. And our round 20, we won two. We beat Bulldogs in Tassie. And then we ended up getting Freo thumped us at the MCG in round 24. That's just going to be one of those nothing games where the winning side will rave and say, we're going into 2025 with a lot of confidence. Means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So this is the one that either of us have to win. Best of luck, North fans. Good luck.
Yeah.
Hope some great performances from some of the youngsters. Be great for our Wards and Mackenzies from our team if they hold their spots. And for you guys, Powell and Wardlaw, Sheasel will end up getting 35 again. I love Harry Sheasel, superstar. Just be good to see a lot of young players hopefully play really well. Hopefully it's a close game and the best team wins.
Absolutely. We're looking at the 2035 grand final teams. This is a preview for about 11 years' time when we're both our teams are unreal, man. So I'll meet you at the game in 2035, I reckon. That'll be unreal. But look, thank you for coming on today. And may the best team win. Absolute pleasure. Thanks, my friend. Thank you very much to Brad once again. Please check out his stuff if you are interested or know any Hawks fans. Hawks Insider, find it everywhere. Very active on X and in the podcasting game. So he's going to be there on the weekend like he talked about, hopefully, if the kids will let him go. And fair to say we're both as nervous as each other. Let's go to the live team reaction, guys, because I've not seen this team, and I know it's going to just be an extended squad, but I'm very, very interested to see who's going to be in this week. I'm trying to think of changes I would make. I usually write down some through the week, but honestly, thinking about it, I don't really know. Some of the players I've been thinking of dropping, like Aiden Core and Darcy Tucker, probably played their best games last weekend. Were the games good necessarily? No, but I don't know. I don't know who else you bring in as well because the injuries are starting to pile up for us. So let's just talk about it once we react. Let's have a look here. Will Phillips is in. Oh, my God. Okay. No outs. Phillips, Zerha, Archer in. Interesting. Okay. Zerha, let's go one by one. Zerha, kind of expected. Hasn't had the best season, but I guess these are the sort of games, the King of Marvel, he needs to turn up in. Very underwhelming season from Zerha. Look, I think and I was one who was, in my rage and anger, thought maybe we drop him like dropping a Bailey Scott. Not excusing those guys for some of the games they've played, but it's experience. And at the end of the day, this sort of game, we need experience. So Zerha in, I'm fine with. Will Phillips, very, very, very interesting. I'm not sure what's going on with this guy, to be honest. Yeah, is he? There's a lot of rumors flying around that he's going to be leaving the club and seeking a move. Look, no credible reporter has been saying that. It's just murmur. But when there is smoke, there is fire. And I would not blame him for the lack of opportunity he's getting. Really excited to see some midfield change. He's a young midfielder with talent, leadership quality. If anyone saw the video of him through the week, I think that video about him teaching like children and going back to like schools and things like that and the work in the community. I think those are leadership qualities that we lack. We lack so desperately. So look, we need to give this guy a chance. Our midfield, even though Tom Power's having a great year, LDU has underperformed. I think Wardlaw's slightly underperformed, even though I love the guy and he's going to be a star. Simpkin as well. Josh Simpkins had a very average year. So, look, Harry Sheedy, I've just noticed is named as a follower, but that never really matters. He's always going to play off halfback. So, yeah, Jackson Archer, incredibly interesting. I think if they can put Jackson Archer back there and move Bailey Scott forward, just do it. I'm so sick of this Bailey Scott in the backline thing. So I love seeing Jackson Archer in. He's going to try his guts out. He's going to defend. And there was chat through the week of, obviously, Harry Sheasel punching the ground when he lost his duel. And other players like that not really looking like they cared. Am I saying they don't care? No, you never really know. But body language is different for everybody. But Jackson Archer, we know will care. And he will really take it personally if he loses his one-on-one battle. Especially a forward line, you know, of a Ginnivan as well. Like for Hawthorn, Gunston is back in as well. Not saying that's the perfect matchup, but, you know, there's a lot going on there in the Hawks forward line. Their strength is their smaller forwards, their medium and small forwards. Their two key forward, Chol is their only key forward, really. I was really hoping that Mitch Lewis didn't come back in. He is not in. That is fantastic because our backline hates defending big forwards. Who else they got in? Jai Sarong. Don't really know much about him. Once again, I'm a North Melbourne guy. I need to know more about the league. And Harry Morris, never heard of him. So don't really know what those two are going to bring. But Gunston in. I know Gunston's pretty old now. It is experience. And a guy like that would be amazing on our team personally, just from a leadership experience point of view. So who could possibly go out? Let's have a chat about that. I think... I really don't want to see them drop Tyler Sellers. He really, really, really deserves another chance. There's no harder assignment in the AFL than your first game coming against, now I forgot his name, Tom Stewart. I'm going to say Mitch Stewart. Tom Stewart. Tom Stewart is an unbelievable footballer, and your first game coming up against a guy like that, with the other experience they've got around in that defence, the guy deserves a chance. Sicily and Frost down in the back, you know, I'd be shocked if Sicily played. I know it's not all one-on-one. Sicily's more of an interceptor. But look, this is a chance to give him some confidence and maybe kick his first goal in AFL football. I really don't want him to drop him. Lazaro, I personally wouldn't drop him, but I think I'm more going through the guys that I think could be on the chopping block. Lazaro, who would I bring in Phillips for Lazaro? Maybe, yeah. I'm just looking at the team here. I'd probably, if in an ideal world for me personally, I'd bring in Tucker for Phillips. I'd bring in Zerha for, who do we go with here? I don't know. I think everyone else sort of warrants their spots, which is wild to say after an awful loss like that. I would love a Zerha in for Core, to be honest. I know I'm beat up Aiden Core all the time, but he's not very good. I think three key defenders, even though Aiden Core's been playing on smalls, which is rubbish. They don't have the tall forward line to do that. So I'd nearly bring in Core for Zerha, Phillips for Tucker. Archer's a hard one. Maybe go Archer for Lazaro. But I would have no problem with Lazaro playing in this game. I know a lot of people will say Hugh Greenwood. Everyone knows my thoughts on Hugh Greenwood. Is he the solution to everything? No. But we need a body like that in the middle. If we're losing a game and need toughness, we could bring Phillips, Greenwood, or Zerha into the midfield this week. While Zerha and Greenwood can both play forward. Don't love Hugh Greenwood in the forward line, but he can also back up rucks. I don't want Larky to be going in there. So Hugh Greenwood solves a lot of fills a few holes. Yeah, I think they're the changes I would go with. I would bring all those guys in. I really want to see Jackson Archer play. Zerha can light it up on his day. We need all the talent we've got against the Hawks, and Will Phillips I would like to see in as well. So I guess harsh on Lazaro because I really like Charlie Lazaro, but I'll say Lazaro, Core, and Tucker go out, and those guys come in, Zerha, Phillips, and Archer. So yeah, let's talk about this game a little bit. This is do or die for North Melbourne. This is my opinion. If you differ on this, I completely understand. This is how I feel about the game as an individual. This is our grand final. We think that Carlton was our grand final because it's a big game. No, this is our actual grand final. We really, really, really need to win this game. We need to win this game way more than the Hawks. The Hawks will have enough confidence in what they're doing from their season last year if they lose this game. Will it hurt them? Absolutely. It's going to hurt whichever team loses. But we've been under the cosh for 4 or 5 years now. We've lost, 26 the last 27 or something along those lines. We need to win this game so badly. And does our team do well under pressure? No, not really. So this is a performance we just need to win. This can defy our season 100%. I've said this a couple of times, but I really do think if we lose this game, I can see 2, maybe 3 wins max for the rest of the year. Heads will drop, and why wouldn't they? To be honest, if you've been on this list for 4 years, what belief do you have that you're going to win the next game? I know that's hard for a few supporters to hear, and I know people don't like that negative mindset. I love this club, and I fully believe in the future, but I'm more talking about right now. Our heads will 100% drop if we lose this game, and I can't see where we're going to win. West Coast maybe for the rest of the year, possibly Richmond. Other than that, if we lose this game, I don't see us winning another one. But if we do win, I really, really, really think we can push on from it and gain some confidence. If we play our game style, it works. We hit some leads, and we just get the confidence of a win. Why can't we beat Adelaide next week? They're not doing too well. They had a great win against Carlton, but look at the start of the year. When we come up against Essendon or the Saints, I'm always kind of confident. It doesn't matter where they are on the ladder. So I really do think this game is vital for our either good enough season for us and where we're at, or another shocker, potentially number 1, if not number 2 pick. So massive, especially after West Coast losing. I think just seeing us on the bottom of the ladder will demoralise some people as well. And I know all the word coming out of the club is we know the process, we're happy, we know things are going to be fine. You never know if they mean that or not. I think they want to believe it, but if I was in a workplace that wasn't getting any results, how motivated are you every single week? So look, this is just the realities of it, guys. And I really do think our season hinges on this game. Is that over dramatic? Potentially. Maybe we lose this game and then we beat Adelaide. I don't know. But this is just where we're at right now. My gut feeling on what North Melbourne has shown us the last few years, especially this year and last year. It's just so, so, so vital we win this game. I'm genuinely terrified. That's how I feel in the game. I know a few of you guys will differ on that. And if you do, please try and understand where I'm coming from. I don't enjoy the roasts all the time. No, they're fine. I know they come with the territory. But look, that's just how I feel about it. I try and put everything into perspective and keep it as realistic as possible. I love the club. I'm going to support them the rest of my life, and it will 100% turn one day. But is that this week? I'm not confident, but I am tipping us to win. I'm going to be at the ground, and we'll see how it goes. So, speaking of being at the ground, Bay 29 is back on. I don't know if it's sold out or not yet, so if there's still tickets, please go and grab them. Myself and Marnie are going to be in the Bay this week. Marnie Cohen in Bay 29, guys. It does not get bigger than that. And yeah, if you aren't in Bay 29, outside Bay 29 in the little standing area, we're going to be hanging out and come and say hello to a few of you guys and just drown our sorrows or talk about the massive win. or talk about the lead we've got that we hope that they keep. So if you are at the game and around Bay 29 at all or want to come down at halftime and say hello, it was really good last game against the Blues. Heaps of you guys came down to say hello, and it's cool to meet everybody. And look, we were all feeling the same way against the Blues at halftime. So please come down and say hello outside Bay 29. Myself and Marnie will be down there. If you aren't already going to this game as a North Melbourne fan, what are you doing? This is our game to win. This might be one of the only wins we see in Melbourne. We don't know. We only got one win in Melbourne last year. So if you can get down to this game, just get down to it. This is the most important game we've played all season. I don't care about Good Friday. We're not gonna win those games against these top 4 teams, you know. These are the games we need to get everybody to, and we need to support the guys because they need us there to cheer for them when they do have a lead and they need to keep it, or they're slightly behind and they need to come back. So this is the most important game of the season so far to get to. It's winnable. We're coming up against a struggling team, and they need our support. Even if you come and buy a GA and just get there any way you can, okay? Some news this week. There's not heaps to talk about. It was interesting, the Will Phillips piece they put up. Not really going to go into it too much. That's not really the interesting thing that I took from it. It sounds mean, doesn't it? But you guys know what I mean. Interesting they're doing like media stuff with him not getting a game, and a lot of the rumour mill swirling about him leaving the club at the end of the year. Yeah, not really sure why they did a piece on him and his leadership qualities and how much he sort of wants to be a leader or a role model and do his bit. It's a great thing he talked about, and I loved the video. It's awesome stuff he's doing, but, you know, why are they doing that with a player that the club's not stupid? They would obviously know that we're calling for him to play or confused why he's not playing, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. I thought that was interesting. Harry Sheedy did an interview. I can't remember which radio station it's on, but who cares? He did on the radio. You know, he's such a good young leader. He just talks the right way. He doesn't do that thing where a lot of players talk and they just sound like the Cameron Zurhaar interview at the start of the year where he said he wants to make finals, and we all sort of listened to that and went, yeah, all right, mate, like, relax. You know what I mean? And that sort of devalued everything that he said in the rest of that interview. Like, him saying he wants to make finals and then saying he loves the club after that. I'm like, man, that's just not the way to talk to us. I'm not saying you don't want to make finals. I'm not saying you don't love the club. I'm just saying, you know, we understand how bad we are, and you need to say different things to get us on your side. As an example, the Nick Larkey interview, where very, very interestingly, he said that it's easy to run to another club and win a premiership who's at the top of the ladder, but he wants to stay at this club, build something from the ground up, and the success that he'll get with us will mean more than anything you could get jumping to another club. That is the stuff that you need to say to us as a fan base right now. That's the stuff that will get us on your side. Nick Larkey needs to be the captain of this football club. I love Jai Simpkin. I think he's a decent enough leader, but his form last year and this year is not good enough. And do I see him barking instruction? Not really. Sheeds was too young to be a captain. There's other players like Blake Drury who has a lot of leadership ability. Will Phillips apparently is one of those if he ever played, hopefully this weekend. Nick Larkey needs to be the captain of this football club. I'm going to do an episode another time of what I think the future leadership group should be, because there's some players who are body language and the way they speak, which are much better for the club. I wouldn't get rid of Jai as a leader at all. I think he looks very vocal. He looks like he gets around the boys, and if he can perform better, the leader needs to let their game do the talking more than anything you do off the field. Charlie Comben, we know how much I like this guy. A further north favourite, but the way he spoke in that interview, the actual hurt he felt when we lost against Brisbane, they're the sort of attributes that we need to see. He's also standing up on the field. He's in defence, which is our most under-the-pump area at the moment. He's taking massive intercept marks, playing on the best forwards from now on he's going to be. That's a guy we need to be a leader because he knows how to communicate with the fans. Sheasel is that. Larkey is that. Simpkin is that as well. His form just needs to be better. And Luke McDonald, I've got no issue with. I just don't know if he's captain material, personally. I know that's very, very harsh, but, you know, he's maybe not inspiring us I haven't heard him do an interview at all. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not sure as a leader maybe he presents the right way. I wouldn't doubt anyone voting him in within the club, because apparently he's more the guy within the club who will lead, not maybe on the field. But we need better players and we need them to be our leaders. So, and we're not going to talk about Aiden Core. Anyway, there's a little rant for you. But I loved the Harry Sheasel interview this week. I loved the Nick Larkey interview. And yeah, I think they're the sort of guys going forward that are going to be great for us. But hey, as we know, no one over 25 is really that good, or no one who's a really solid, good player. You know what I mean? Okay. Under the microscope this week, I think it's Bailey Scott for me. He's the one I want to put some pressure on this week. He needs a big bounce back game. You look at his numbers and you go, decent game. You watch the games, the bloke is literally, it's like Brisbane and Geelong players were leading for him and he was hitting him on the chest. So Bailey Scott has had 2 shockers. He needs to be better. There's plenty of players I could call out, but he's the glaring one for me. I could throw Zerha and LDU in that as well. And all of these are some of our senior guys. Bailey Scott's in the leadership group too. Jeez, I forgot. Oh my God, I'm an awful fan. Yeah, wow, that puts things into perspective for me. That's another guy in the leadership group I forgot about. And I can't believe I forgot someone was in the leadership group. Oh, wow. I'm having an epiphany right now, guys. Anyway, yeah, not good enough if I'm in the leadership group. Anyway, LDU needs a massive game. Stats-wise, once again, looks really, really good. But if you watch the games, his defensive effort, his tackling, his pressure, his running, not good enough. Can be a star, and I don't doubt his ability at football. But you need this. LDU, if you're listening, which I'm sure he is, you're coming up against a midfield full of children this week, okay? You are the best midfielder on this field this week, maybe for the first time this season. Show them. Show them you are the best midfielder on that field on the weekend. Take the piss. You go to Jai Newcomb and go, you're a child, you're out of form, mate. Watch how you play the midfield, okay? But inspiring speech aside, Bailey Scott needs to bounce back, because at least I don't think LDU is negatively affecting us. He's just not impacting the game enough. Bailey Scott is negatively affecting us right now, so he needs to be better. I do believe he can do it though, because he showed it all last year. Let's go to some tips, some weekly tips, and then we'll let you guys go. Trying to keep these as short as possible. So, oh my God, Western Bulldogs. It's the second quarter. There's 10 minutes left right now. I record these every Thursday night after the teams drop. And currently the Western Bulldogs are 52-6 up against the Saints. Oh my God. What a crushing. Wow. I would have tipped the Saints. Obviously, I'm going to tip the Bulldogs. But I would have definitely tipped the Saints, to be honest with you. It's crazy the Dogs can put that up without Jamari Ugle-Hagan playing as well. I think Jamari Ugle-Hagan's really overrated, guys. Do you guys agree with that? Like, I don't doubt his talent, his ability. I mean, on his day, he can light it up, but he's almost like a Stringer or a Zerha or someone like that where, you know, what do you return? Like 35, 40 goals a year for a guy who's apparently going to make $1 million a year after this year? Just hasn't really done it for me. So I think he can get there, and I like his talent, his game style. I wish he was on our team, but yeah, I don't know. That forward line, Norton, like, is Norton worth an 8-year deal for like 35 goals a year? Anyway, whatever. Adelaide Essendon, I'm going to tip Adelaide, maybe Adelaide. After the win, I'll tip Adelaide, but it could go either way. I think Essendon are better on paper, but Adelaide probably have the form right now after the Carlton win, and they're back at home. So I'll go Adelaide. Collingwood Port, Collingwood will win that. I hope Port gets smashed. Carlton GWS. GWS for me for that one. Yeah, I kind of want Carlton to get smashed. Oh, I don't know why I have beef with Carlton personally. I've got no reason to, you know what I mean? Anyway, whatever. GWS. Geelong, Brisbane. Geelong will win that. They're in ripping form. Brisbane looked good the last few weeks. You're welcome, Brisbane Lions. We played you back into form. We'll be saying that the rest of the year. But Geelong just looks so good. So good. And if they get Hawkins and Dangerfield back in, that's even stronger. West Coast Freo win this one. Please crush West Coast and bring them back down to earth. Big Ant needs the reality check, guys. He has been all over the DMs after that game. Sydney, Gold Coast. SCG, Sydney for me. still don't rate the Gold Coast super highly. I think they've had a good start to the year, been a pretty soft start to the year though, teams-wise, yet to play any of the top 6, 7 so far. I think they've played every game against a bottom 10 team. So, yeah, I'll tip the Swans in that one. Hawthorn North, well, we've already talked about it. North by 16 points. That's what I'm going, guys. North by 16 points. Kangaroos. We have to do it. Come on, please. God, I don't want to go home and just be sad again and have to be like, oh, I've got a podcast the next day. Oh, dear. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thank you for listening once again. If you're on YouTube, please like the video. Leave a comment. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, we're everywhere now. You guys know where to find us. Any 5-star reviews are always so good. I love reading those and really appreciate anyone doing that for me. I think it's good to just, I don't know, it gets the podcast out into the algorithm a little bit more. Like, you know, when there's suggested podcasts on Spotify or Apple, if people are typing in like AFL, it will come up higher in the rankings. So yeah, that would be a massive help. It takes 30 seconds of your time. So would really appreciate it, guys. We'll be there at the game, halftime, Bay 29. Come down and say hello. We'll be hanging out outside Bay 29. Other than that, let's bloody smash the Hawks this week. I can't stand them. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you after